So much for joining us tonight. Bass Pro Shops is coming to East Texas. Just within the last 40 minutes, the retail giant confirmed they do plan to open an outpost store in South Tyler. A permit filing with the state first revealed to us the company's plans to renovate what used to be Gander Mountain near the Cumberland Shopping Center off South Broadway Avenue, just north of Toll 49. KLTV7's Michael Richardson has more.
Currently, the closest Bass Pro Shops to Tyler are in Garland and Bossier City, Louisiana. That may not be for much longer. According to a permit filed Tuesday in the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, Bass Pro Shops is looking to start constructing a store in South Tyler. Here is video of the location, which is right next to the Village at Cumberland Park and across from the Guitar Center. The permit indicates the project will begin construction August 17th and will last until February 13th. The estimated cost for the 73,000 square foot store is $13 million.
This is paperwork that is required if you're constructing a building.
Communications manager for Texas DLR, Tila Mange, says Bass Pro Shops needs to file paperwork to ensure accessibility compliance. That's because the project would cost over $50,000.
The thing that we want to make sure here at TDLR is that any building that is required to be accessible actually is accessible to everyone, no matter what disability they may have.
Here are some of those specifications.
The ramps need to be a certain meet certain specifications. The handles for doors have to meet certain specifications. How the lights work.
Bass Pro Shops employs over 40,000 people across roughly 200 retail stores. Michael Richardson, KLTV7 News.
And we're told the company expects to employ about 100 people at the new Tyler store. It's expected to open in the first half of 2025.